Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. In 2003, Dan Locke came and bought me breakfast in Los Angeles, wearing his uncle's suit, holes in the shoes, and holes in the socks, which he doesn't like to relate to that. But he brought me this as a gift. And it's, I don't know what it means in Chinese, I don't. But apparently it's supposed to mean something in Chinese. And it's it's not a gold frog, but it's a brass frog on top of some sort of hocus pocus fucking stone. And it's supposed to mean, I don't know, good luck, kiss my ass, or whatever it is. But when Sally and I went to have dinner with him 2-3 years ago in Vancouver to the white man's club that he belongs to, that he was very proud because he belonged to it, he was very surprised that I kept that, but I did. And I've told the story probably 50 times over the last, since 2003, the last, 18 years. But there was something in Dan. There was where's Frenchie? Okay, there was a je ne sais quoi. There was something about him that it was a similar feeling that I had when I met Josh Kim for the first time. And some of these other kids that have turned out to be superstars. There was something about Dan that was just different. And he had pimples on his face. He had acne in those days. And that, for sure, he doesn't like to be reminded of. And he was a little pudgy. But, umpteen years later, and he followed, it took him about 5 years to save up money to come to the seminar, blah, blah, blah. And, but he follows instructions well. And now he's doing his own deal. I hear now he's going to come up with a television station or some shit, now. But you can tell kids, not kids to you, but I mean contemporaries, when they have this maybe braggadocious or whatever it is about them, there's something different. Now, normally, most people think, oh, the guy's full of shit, this and that. But as did me when they were just saying, Danny, just talk shit. But I've been talking shit for a long, long time. Not dissimilar to, I'm not trying to compare myself to Muhammad Ali, who I knew when he was Cassius Clay, but you shouldn't overlook that. I mean, some people have an inner self-confidence. They don't know why they have it. I certainly don't know why I had it when I was young, but I certainly sure as fuck had it. And Dan was one of those kids. And when he was going to get married, Sally and I he invited us to Vancouver for dinner to introduce his wife-to-be, and not necessarily for us to approve of her, but which we did. But at that time, I was the closest thing to a daddy that he had. Now, I'm not trying to be your surrogate father that you never had, but you could do worse. For most of you who had shitty fathers, you could do worse. But I'm going to be your father from afar going forward. So, and I say again, although I'm very interested, reference vis-a-vis your success, but selfishly, I want to see you be successful for my own selfish needs. And but when you get down to the wire on a deal, and you're on the 1 foot line, and it's collapsed, contact me. But when you're on the 50-yard line, I couldn't give a shit less. If you're not even in the stadium, don't bother. But the first few times you're going to contact Kim will tell you you're not on the 1 foot line. She won't even turn it to me. And the first time your chairman steals your deal, I'm not interested. I've given you more than enough knowledge to preclude you from losing the fucking deal to some old bastard my age. But it takes, learning's a bitch, and you're accelerating your maturation process, your financial maturation process now. Just like COVID has caused us to do 10 years of worldwide stuff in 6 months or 1 year, you are have had an accelerated financial experience, education in a week now. And you're going to have, the challenges are for you to convince your board that you actually know what you're talking about, and then do it. So when you get down to the 1 foot line and you're having problems with your accountants and your lawyers, etc., then I may take your call. It depends where you are. But it's, even though I made it sound pretty adamant that I was abandoning you, I am abandoning you until you get down there. And I'm not saying I'm happy to take your call, but maybe a few words from me quite often saves the deal. Quite often. But your board, I will always ask you kids, what does your fucking board say? So don't tell me you didn't ask the fuckers. Don't waste a phone call. Doesn't cost a dime anymore. But don't waste a phone call. But now don't waste an email. Because unless you've asked the board, and I will ask you, what did the board say? And if you haven't asked the board, obviously, you can't tell me what the board said. Right? Okay. We're here for questions, comments. Our classical guitarist isn't going to play for us anything that I'm aware of. And the pipers have gone home. Thank Allah that we have this venue to be able to do these things now, whereas we didn't have it before. If you want to drink, ask Duncan and the various staff. There's 4 or 5 of you I see tomorrow as your one-on-ones. I'm looking forward to that. That's a lie. I'm not looking forward to it. That's like saying when somebody asks you a question, good question. There's no good questions. Comments? Yes, sir, in the back.
Mr. Guba, Mr. Peña, sorry. I want to thank you, and I want to thank all your staff for this week.
All my staff.
For the information provided, and it was a pleasure to be here with all of you guys. Thank you so much for being my peers.
What are you trying to sell? Are you selling something?
No. And just want to say thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome.
And,
but you paid.
It was a pleasure to be here.
And we try to give you, 5-star treatment. Notwithstanding, you probably don't deserve 5-star treatment. We try to give you 5-star treatment. And the staff, I just asked the staff if anybody has abused them or given them any shit, and they MI5, and Duncan said, they've been pretty mild-mannered, and that's good. You have no reason to abuse. Occasionally we get some kids that, because they're so frustrated, because so many things become clearer to them because why they failed, etc. They're abusive to the staff. But apparently that hasn't happened, and I thank you for that, acting professional. And but we give you a first-class deal. And there's no question that the material that we cover, you're going to get the Josh Kim talks, little speeches. You're not going to get the slides because we only went through 40 or 50 slides of the 2,400 because I didn't think they were appropriate. Because a lot of the stuff, even though I beat up on you, you got without going through 15, 20 fucking slides over. You got them. But you're going to get a lot of stuff. You already got the gigs, right? Okay. And, I mean, before you, if they don't work, make sure you tell somebody before you leave. Most of your boards, some of you will be in awe because of the stature they are in the community in the world. That's natural. But if they don't do shit, all the titles and all the accolades they have doesn't do fuck for you. And the longer you wait to press them, if that's the right word, into action, that's detrimental to you. But again, most of you are pleasers. Most of you have been trained from infancy not to be confrontational. Very few people in your life that you can count on one hand are confrontational. I've never known any other way. I don't know any other way. I don't. I've always stuck my thumb in the guy's eye all my life. All my life. And again, that's an anomaly. Most of the icons But there's only, a 10% of the guys that are icons. They're not also-rans. And I've had the privilege of being around a lot of them. And they're all, I keep using the word assholes, but fuck, they are. They're ball busters. And some of them are, I'm not saying they're all Dutch, which are cheap, but they make a deal with you and then they want to fuck you out of the money. That's the norm. Why, when you got $42 jillion, you want to fuck a guy out of $4 million? You should ask some of the Dutch guys in the room. Maybe they understand the concept better than I do. But I've seen guys with $50 billion fuck a guy out of $1 million, just on principle. And the Dutch guys are all smiling, so they understand better than I. But for the most part, all these guys are assholes. And if you go on the assumption that you have to protect yourself, you're better off. Because, I was teasing somebody earlier. When they say they've got your back, they've got 6, whatever that means, they don't have a fucking clue what that means. They don't. And if push comes to shove, you'll be the one suffering, not them. Did I answer your comment, Murph?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Are there any questions you were surprised we did not ask?
Well, you don't ask a bunch of questions. But I'm not telling you should have asked them. I told you last seminar, we had 10 or so questions that I've never been asked in 28 years. And they were all based on insecurity. All of them. But the whole seminar environment was saved by the pig fucker, in my opinion. For all the moronic, idiotic, retarded shit that I went through that week, he saved it. Because he went out and did his shit. God bless the little shit. But they had some fucking... It's like the kind of questions, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you have a certain idea or scope of what the world's about. Some of you believe in Santa Claus, blah, 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 right? And your sensitivities are at a certain level because you really don't understand the world. Fine. But the guys in the last seminar weren't 4, 5, 6 years old. And they asked questions. A lot of you corrected me on my own stuff. And when I said, I don't think you've ever heard this, and you corrected me, it was said, these guys asked questions that were just parochial at best. Grammar school shit. And, but I love that class now, forevermore. I will speak highly of those fuckers forevermore because of the meathead. I mean, it's like occasionally I would do something right in school. Not too often. And my mother would talk about it like I was a straight A student forever. God knows I wasn't. But they would focus on that one thing that I did right. I entered a LA School District Spanish contest. And although I was getting a D in Spanish, the questions they were asking, and I came from a Spanish-speaking home. Although my parents didn't speak Spanish at home, I came from a Spanish-speaking home. And I mean, the questions were like, how do you say milk? I mean, it was fucking moronic. So I won the contest. And my parents, or my mother especially, thought that, fuck, I was Einstein. I tried to explain to Mom, I mean, these are pendejos. I mean, these are morons. I mean, the fact that I won a contest of morons, doesn't make me feel that good, I didn't know what self-esteem was at the time. But if I had known what it was, I would have said, this doesn't make my self-esteem any better. Just because these fucking guys can't speak any Spanish. But, and you can't go back and make up for what your parents did. Some of the guys and gals, no gals in this group, go back and, they feel sorry for themselves because their parents fucked them up. That's history. That doesn't do anybody any good. And going back and confronting your parents about fucking you up doesn't do any good either. Excuse me. The only thing is ask your dad, was I here on purpose? But yeah, Bill.
So several people have come up to me and asked me good questions. I said, you really should ask Dan because these are good questions. But essentially, the net takeaway is make sure you get yourself a great chairman and that you use LinkedIn and you use these tools that you've talked about to get yourself a freaking great team around you. And I was pushing people for that, but would you agree with that?
Absolutely. The chairman's the most important person in the group, your little group, your little dream team. There's not even a second place that's close. I mean, it's 100% behind the chairman. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to have your chairman as a mentor, doesn't always work out. That's even better. But that doesn't work out that often. And even companies, even though I'm still 15 or 18 companies that I'm chairman of, I'm only mentor to 3 or 4 of the kids. Living 4,000 miles away is not the greatest thing to have your mentor. I can be chairman, but it's disingenuous for me to try to act as mentor. The ideal is if you live in Columbus, Ohio, you draw, is it a radius of 500 miles from Columbus, and that's where your team should be. Ideally, there's no perfect world, but there are so many capable people out in the world, not just the United States, all over, that are looking for free founders' equity. You won't believe how easy it is. If you use the templates and you don't sound like a fucking moron. Some of you will use the templates and the first few times you will still sound like a moron, but you got to practice. And don't be embarrassed when you fail. I mean, Klaus Kleinfeld did the same shit. And he was doing it on a world basis. And now Klaus isn't as smart as, with the greatest respect, Klaus, you're not as smart as you think you are, but you're plenty fucking smart. He's at the top end of my continuum of brain trust. Easily. Look at the things he's done. Remarkable. I mean, world class. World changing. I mean, he's a smart fuck. And he went through many of the trials and tribulations that you will go through. And I still remember, the first time I met him, he was in his late 30s. It's hard to believe. But he made a lot of sacrifices. Okay, YouTube, thank you. Good night.